Going back to some of the college days and being around your classmates, what was their mindset in terms of using that degree as well? What were their plans?
I don't know. I always kind of felt like I was a bit on the outside looking in with those people. My mindset was always entrepreneurial, and I thought, well, where's the business in this, or how do I make this happen? The idea of acting, even back then and still to this day, always seemed like one of these professions where you weren't in any sort of control. It was always at the whim of somebody saying, "You're good enough, we pick you." And a lot of times when I was like a little chubby kid, I was I was like the last to be picked for anything. So I never really got. I don't know if I was the last to be picked for anything, but it seems like a good thing to say right now. I, I felt like, with acting, it was always one of these things where it's like you had to wait for somebody to look down this long list of people and say, okay, we're going to pick that guy. And for me, that always seemed a little counterintuitive because I thought, well, why couldn't I just make my own thing and just act in my own stuff if I wanted to? Why do I have to ask permission to be successful? And that was the first time it dawned on me that maybe I could just do something on my own and I didn't really need, somebody else to say, okay, you're okay, you can do this now.
So once you got to LA, when did that proactive mindset take over and you stopped being passive, or maybe you were never passive in coming to LA, but when did you start to put things in motion, whether it was filmmaking stuff or your own projects?
Yeah, so even making short films, after the New York thing, and I met with some friends, and through the years we'd make these short weekend backyard indies. And there was this time right before we made the feature where it was a summer, it was a hot day, we were all sitting around the living room, and we had this conversation going like, okay, well, summer's coming, let's make another short movie this year. And you could tell that the enthusiasm for making another short film just wasn't there. It was like defeated. We all felt defeated. If we had to make another short film, it would be a pointless use of our time. That's how we felt. And somebody said, wait a second, why couldn't we make a feature? And then the conversation kept going, yeah, why couldn't we make a feature? And then somebody else said, and this is a quote I always use in my talks and when I'm trying to encourage people, but the question was asked that changed the course of our filmmaking lives. And that question was, given the resources that we have right now, what is the movie that we can make this year? And that, of course, ended up being this really stupid zombie movie that once we went to market with it, beyond our expectations, it went viral. We had the first week we had 10,000 people on our website. We crashed the servers, and we were like, this is something. There's something to this, and I think that's. I'm going way beyond your original question, but I think when that happened, when we started getting all of the response to the zombie movie, our phone was ringing. It was all these sales agents and prospective distributors that were saying, hey, give us your movie and we'll get you into the shelves at the local video store. We were super excited. But at that time, I was just starting, and this was back in 2006 when we went to market. I was just starting to make the connection between targeted website traffic and having a product to sell. And we kept waiting for one of these sales agents to come along and give us $1 million check. Because we were like a lot of filmmakers, and going back to your earlier question, we all once again thought we were Quentin Tarantino, and we weren't. And the movie's pretty low caliber and pretty low brow, but it ended up that all of the offers that we got from sales agents and distributors weren't deals, because a deal we felt would have been something that would eventually pay us money, if not up front, then some point. And all of these deals had these really crazy bullet points that would have meant that had we gone with any of those distributors, we would have never seen a dime. So we ended up just putting the movie on Amazon, and I took some stuff off the website using Google Analytics. I looked at all the pages where people were exiting and not returning, and I just narrowed the website down into some real basics. One is we had a logo for the movie, we had some testimonials under the logo, we had a trailer, and then we had a buy now button. We kept it very simple. And we were able to generate quite a lot of revenue from doing just that. Frankly, because the movie had gone viral, we had a lot of organic traffic, so we didn't have to pay for advertising. And I now know, back then I was like, oh, this should happen for every movie. I now know that's not the case for every movie. But it set into motion for me, it gave me, going back to that whole, underlying philosophy that I have, which is you don't have to ask for permission to be successful. This was finally the piece that unlocked that for me, where I realized that filmmaking for the right movie with the right kind of strategy could be a viable business. It's not always going to work out, but all businesses don't work out all of the time. Some do and some don't. But it taught me that I don't need a middleman. I don't need, once again, to ask somebody to, hey, can I please distribute my movie? Can I please take it to market? That was a thing of the past at that point, and I really like that.